You ready? I'm the newly hired head men's wrestling coach at Emory-Henry University, formerly known as college. I was an assistant men and women's assistant coach here last year. Beautiful campus, beautiful program, beautiful people to work with. Me as an individual, been involved with the sport of wrestling for 30 years. It's kind of showing my age, but I'm only 35 years old, so I just got started early. Two younger brothers is initially where I started my coaching, I guess. One was 8 years younger, the other was 5. All-state twice, high school, had a D1 scholarship on the table until blew out my knee. Terrible for me, good from a coaching standpoint, because unfortunately this sport is non-discriminatory towards all of its athletes, and the injuries are going to happen regardless of how well prepared you are. Got to wrestle with the All-Marine team while I was in the Marine Corps, earned my black belt in the Marine Corps martial arts program, and then a ton of other sanctioned and non-sanctioned grappling events. So I bring a non-traditional approach as far as how I can apply all those different grappling styles and different techniques to collegiate folk style, and as well as the international style freestyle whenever I'm working with the women. Now, said smart mouth, I like to make one of the most unenjoyable sports 90% of the time and as enjoyable as I can, while also getting better. I'll probably talk more trash and crack more jokes than anyone on any team that comes in here, as long as you're working hard. You got to reciprocate what I'm trying to put out there. And as long as you know that at the end of the day, regardless of how hard practice was, you still got a few giggles in, and you know that you came out a better individual as far as student, man or woman, and wrestler. Well, first off, we got a really good core group. Even a couple of our upperclassmen that are returning still have 2 years eligibility, because like I said, unfortunately, they had to suffer 3 injuries and got medical red shirts. So we have an All-American who's actually returning, who academically is going to be a senior, but has 2 years of eligibility left on the athletic side. So you're going to have that experience from that standpoint. Not only experience, but valued and proven experience. And then we have very good wrestler who, again, unfortunately dealt with a knee injury like myself, 4 years athletic eligibility left, and a ton of, we have multiple state champs coming in this freshman year, and I think only 2, maybe 3 that will be graduating this year. So you have a good core group that you're going to be able to learn from. From a wrestling standpoint, I like to call it controlled violence. Aggressive, always moving, and practices get you to that point. But it's also from a functionality standpoint. I personal trained for multiple years. Like I said, I've been involved and or coaching in some form aspect for a couple of decades at this point. My undergrad's in exercise science, so I like to tell my guys and gals, it doesn't matter how fast a marathon runner can run 100 meters and vice versa. Yeah, it might be cool and a nice little brag, but that's not your specialty. And I don't like to do things on the wrestling mat and or off of it that are not going to be beneficial in a wrestling match. So almost all of our drills that we do year-round are in some way, shape, or form based around 7 minutes, because that's the length of a collegiate men's folk style wrestling match. You need to be good for 7. Doesn't matter if you're good for 2 or you're good for 10. If you can't pump it out and be able to defend and get offensive for that 7-minute period, I'm failing at my job. And if you're not working to get to that point, you're also failing yourself. So at the beginning of the year, as soon as school starts, you got open mats, and we're, got month, 2 months out before competition actually starts. Get as much live wrestling and beat each other's heads together, get those joints sore, where you can seek treatment on campus, hopefully not off campus, but if it does come to that point, at least it's happening in September, October, and not February when you're supposed to be at your healthiest. Then as competitions start, everything is based off of competitions. We video every single match, that way you can look at it. I can explain certain scenarios you make. Okay, this is really good. And that's the one thing I like to do. I'm not gonna harp on, hey, you messed up on this, this, and this, and then never praise you for everything good that you did. We need to focus on what's already in your toolbox, what's been working, refine that so you continue to get more high level and even better at what you're already good at, and then look at, okay, we could have did this better. We start throwing these other tools in there so it's easier to get to your bread and butter, and you're also getting better at other things, because the wider array of techniques that you can utilize is only going to make you more dangerous. Then towards the end of the season, it's primarily drill and minimal live wrestling. You've got all the live wrestling in that you need to get in. That way, your body's as healthy as possible, your gas tank is through the roof, and you're as educated as you can be going into postseason about yourself and what you need to do if you get put in those 50-50 situations, by utilizing that stuff that you weren't comfortable with week one to, change the direction of that match whenever your season's on the line. While I've only been involved directly and indirectly with Emory and Henry Wrestling for 4 years, 2 years while I coached JUCO and we were doing joint practices, and then last year as an assistant, this year coming in as a head. I've been involved with the academic side from graduate level with the School of Health Sciences for the last 9 years. I've had roughly 130 occupational therapy students complete their Fieldwork 1, Fieldwork 2, as well as 2 capstones under my department that I work with the Department of Corrections. I'm Director of Recreational Therapy up the road in Marion. Built really good relationships through that. That bled over into Core 100 classes, civic engagement, service Saturdays, and now even with the chair of biology working on getting some physiology students up there to branch out and, much like my coaching style, get a separate approach to education that they normally wouldn't be able to get offered anywhere else. That's what Emory and Henry is about. Not only from, a very, very good administrative staff in athletics right now, to all their support staff. They're supportive of this wrestling team. They're supportive of all sports. Working through those struggles of transitioning from Division III to Division II, transitioning to a university, because we're growing in so many ways. So that's something that you could look forward to, is learning to grow as the university has put, the right foot forward to grow themselves. They're invested in the athletics, they're invested in the academics on all levels, they're invested in their staff. Big thank you to specifically Susan Ratliff and Kyle Sensabaugh for believing in me, because this has been a process working through to, actually make this official. Multiple conversations, but all of them have been productive dialogues, whether it's been something of them rebutting something that I brought up, and then, we can have professional discourse about it, and I can explain something that they didn't quite understand before, and vice versa. Just being able to do that is something I promote in the wrestling room, in the locker room as well. Like, the only stupid question is one you don't ask. That goes for wrestling. I've been through a very non-traditional route to get to this point, but I've got to have a lot of experiences in a lot of different areas. So there are so many resources from an academic, professional, individual, and athletic standpoint. Like, I honestly don't think that you're gonna be able to have that big of a support system and wide array of support anywhere else. And it's a beautiful campus. It's still small, so like you don't have to dive head into a major campus where you're not even a face in the crowd. You're really just an ant tracking along with the other tens of thousands of ants. While we're growing, we are getting bigger, but we're still small. So it still has that hometown feel, even if you are getting away. And listen, I'm an OEF veteran. I deployed to Afghanistan when I was 21 years old, not much older than many of you will be when you get here. I was thousands of miles away from home. I, was stationed 4 hours away from home. So if that's something that you're like having trouble with, whether it's 4+ 20 hours away, like I've been there, I've done that. So I can tell you coping mechanisms that help me not worry about the things that I couldn't control and help you to hone in and focus on the things that you can control. And then again, you're gonna have multiple peers, whether they're in the classroom, you're rooming with them, you butt into them on campus, at lunch, or in the wrestling room. you're gonna have other people that are going through the same exact things that you're going through. So you're gonna have those resources to, one, grow as a young man and a young woman in a good environment that you have people who want to support you and want to see you improve and succeed.